Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber Security Plus podcast. This series helps you prepare for the CompTIA Security Plus exam with focused explanations and practical context. For a companion study guide, check out the Achieve CompTIA Security Plus 701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. It is the most concise and complete Security Plus guide on the market, built for busy professionals who want to pass the exam fast and on their first try. You can find this book and others at cyberauthor.me. In cybersecurity governance, understanding risks is not enough. Those risks must also be tracked, updated, assigned, and measured over time. This is where risk registers and risk thresholds come into play. They provide the structure needed to document and manage risk effectively and give organizations early warning signs when the threat landscape begins to shift. In this episode, we will examine how to create and manage a risk register and how to identify key risk indicators that alert us to changing risk conditions. Let's begin with the risk register. A risk register is a formal document or system that captures the full list of risks identified by the organization. It includes critical details about each risk, such as a description of the threat, the asset it affects, the risk owner, the likelihood of occurrence, the impact if it occurs, and the chosen response strategy. In more advanced registers, you may also find details like control effectiveness ratings, mitigation costs, residual risk levels, and review schedules. Think of the risk register as the central source of truth for all known risks. Without a register, it is easy for risks to be forgotten, left unaddressed, or duplicated across departments. The risk register brings order to the risk management process by ensuring that every risk has a clear owner, a documented status, and a history of updates. Creating a risk register starts with gathering information from across the organization. This includes the results of risk identification efforts, findings from audits or vulnerability scans, input from department managers, and lessons learned from previous incidents. Each risk is logged with a unique identifier so that it can be referenced consistently across reports, meetings, and remediation plans. The next step is assigning a risk owner. The risk owner is responsible for monitoring the risk, implementing controls, and keeping the register up to date. This does not mean the risk owner fixes the issue alone, but they are accountable for making sure the right actions are taken. Assigning ownership is one of the most powerful parts of a risk register. It creates accountability and prevents risks from falling through the cracks. Once the risks are documented and assigned, the next field to complete is the response strategy. Each risk should have a clearly defined plan, whether it will be mitigated, transferred, avoided, or accepted. If mitigation is the chosen strategy, the register should outline the specific controls or projects that will reduce the risk. If acceptance is the decision, the rationale for that acceptance must be documented. This ensures that leadership understands and agrees to the level of residual risk the organization is choosing to live with. Let's consider a practical example. A regional hospital includes a risk in its register related to unsupported medical imaging software. The software cannot be updated and has known vulnerabilities, but it is still in use due to compatibility issues. The risk is described in the register and the asset affected is clearly stated. The risk owner is the chief technology officer. The response strategy is mitigation through isolation and network segmentation, while the long-term plan is full replacement within 18 months. This information gives leadership a complete picture of the situation and allows them to monitor progress over time. An effective risk register is not just a static document, it is a living record. Risks should be reviewed regularly, especially when systems change, new threats emerge, or incidents occur. Updates may include changes to the risk rating, adjustments to mitigation plans, or changes in ownership. Keeping the register current ensures that it reflects the true state of the organization's security posture. Now let's turn to key risk indicators. These are metrics or data points that signal changes in risk conditions. Just as a doctor uses blood pressure or heart rate to monitor patient health, cybersecurity leaders use key risk indicators to monitor the health of their security environment. These indicators provide early warning signs that a risk is increasing in likelihood or impact. Key risk indicators can be technical, operational, or environmental. A technical indicator might include a rise in failed login attempts, an increase in unpatched systems, or a spike in firewall alerts. Operational indicators might include missed backups, delayed security projects, or high turnover in the information technology team. Environmental indicators could involve new regulations, supply chain instability, or global cyber threat trends. The value of key risk indicators lies in their ability to trigger proactive action. If a particular risk is tied to a known indicator, the organization can monitor that metric over time and respond before a full incident occurs. For example, if a spike in phishing attempts has historically led to credential theft in the past, an increase in those attempts can serve as an early warning to strengthen email filtering and alert employees. Let's explore a real-world case study. A financial services firm tracks a key risk indicator tied to its third-party vendors. One of those indicators is the frequency of missed service-level agreement deadlines. Over time, the firm notices a steady increase in late software patches from one of its vendors. This triggers an internal review, which reveals that the vendor has reduced its information technology staff due to budget cuts. As a result, the organization reevaluates the vendor relationship, introduces additional controls, and adds contractual language requiring more frequent communication and audits. In this case, the key risk indicator provided early insight that helped prevent a larger failure. Another case involves a national retailer that monitors web application traffic. A key risk indicator is the number of abnormal page requests per hour. One day, the system flags a surge in unexpected behavior, thousands of requests targeting a rarely used administrative page. This triggers an investigation that reveals an attempted attack using automated tools. The organization blocks the attack, patches the vulnerability, and logs the event for further analysis. Without the key risk indicator, this attack might not have been noticed until customer data had been accessed or services disrupted. When designing key risk indicators, organizations must ensure that the metrics are measurable, relevant, and tied to specific risks. Not all data points are useful, and too many alerts can cause fatigue. A small number of well-designed indicators is far more effective than a long list of metrics that no one monitors. Each indicator should have a defined threshold that, when crossed, triggers a predefined action. These thresholds are often documented alongside risks in the risk register. For example, a risk related to system availability might include a key risk indicator of server uptime. If uptime drops below 99.5% in a given month, that triggers a risk review. This structure brings together monitoring, accountability, and response in a way that strengthens governance. As you prepare for the Security Plus exam, make sure you understand how a risk register is used to document and track risks, and how key risk indicators help monitor changes to the threat landscape. You may see scenario questions where you need to identify whether a situation is best addressed by updating the risk register, escalating a risk owner, or monitoring a risk indicator. Here is a tip for the exam. If a question mentions documenting a risk, assigning responsibility, or tracking mitigation status, it is pointing to the risk register. If the question includes terms like leading metric, real-time alert, or early warning, then it is likely referring to a key risk indicator. Watch for language that signals whether you are being asked about tracking status or measuring change. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.